what you're looking for in your next role, company, target industries, types of roles, and then we'll talk more about what's working and what's not working. So if everyone can start with their intros, and Neil, why don't we start with you?
Okay, thank you. A lot of people know me. I'm here. My name is Neil Robertson. I help support Ahmed on these calls and other activities we do. I'm a retired IT pro. I spent about 30 years in IT working for companies like Oracle, IBM, VMware, SAP, and then I retired from 7 years at Microsoft. I started out as a geologist and a geoeconomist, and I made the switch into the IT industry without a CS degree or any formal training. So one of the reasons I'm able to help out is I'm pretty decent, as Ahmed will tell you, I'm pretty decent at networking, and that was really what it was. I also always preface this by saying I happen to have a personality that is more outgoing, so it's a little easier for me. I totally recognize that, but I help people with the types of conversation to have that I had that help generate the leads and the interest in where to go forward in the careers. I also like to help people with looking, if they're in IT in particular, is looking at different angles of the roles that you can do. If you've got an end role in mind that you eventually want to get to, what are the roles you can get that will help you get there that aren't exactly that role? So kind of those indirect roles, which is what I did as well.
Love that. And
I'm sorry, Jody, go ahead, please.
No, you go.
Yeah, so I like to help reduce the FUD that's out there about what's going on in the industry, help people sort of calm down and focus on what they can control. Look at things as obstacles, not as complete blockers. I've worked with many people who have, in my career.
Optimize your profile, crafting your elevator pitch we talked about already, and getting your resume seen. Similar, again, Malik with the AI overview behind the scenes of your resume, and same idea on the titles and the keywords. And stop me throughout if you have any questions, of course.
I think Asif has his hand raised.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I have two questions. I think one you already answered, that when I started applying VP, I was not getting a job because I had a SVP, and if I apply for director, so I changed it to Head of Engineering and Innovation and Architecture. That was also part of my title. That worked better for my technical jobs. So the other thing I feel it's hurting me is I have, my experiences are showing that I'm old-timer. And even though it's illegal, but I think my age is shown indirectly. So what I feel is I should remove my older experiences to look at like at least 15 plus, not 20 plus, 30 plus.
Yes. I am so glad that you mentioned that. So you'll note, so there are a number of ways to prevent the ageism. It's unfortunate, but it's out there. So you just touched on one of them, Asif. Decide how far back you want to go in your job experience, both on your LinkedIn and your resume. You may want to go back only 15 years. 15 years may not be enough because maybe you worked at a really well-known company prior to 15 years. I personally go back to 2000. That's where I've cut it off. That's a personal decision for you to make. So then if you cut off the years, which again you have on your resume, then you can have a separate section on the bottom that says just previous experience. And you can list companies and titles with no dates. So that's one. Secondly, do not put dates on your education. Just completely take those out. And then back to your elevator pitch, when you're talking to people, you notice that I said I have 20 plus years of experience. I really have 25 years of experience, but I say 20 plus. So again, when you talk about your about section or the summary that you put on top of your resume, decide what that number is. Do you want to say 15 plus? Do you want to say 20 plus? What is it? But again, I had a client I was talking to yesterday or 2 days ago who went back, who cut up a lot of her experience. And then I said, you have such great breadth. You want to get a senior role, and now you're showing not enough of like your personal brand. So she went back a couple of more years. So again, you have to decide on that. I hope that helps, Asif.
No, this is great. If you allow me one more question, that was
Yes.
strange, but it happened to me. Maybe it helps others because I'm looking
Lots
for
of
part-time
strange
role.
things happening.
Yes, because I was looking for a part-time role and I have some cool buzzwords that I really know. I think you hit it on one of those that AI is important in our resume. So I actually know AI, but I found one of the contracting job. I was asking him for part-time and he was giving me full-time. And when I say, okay, why not part-time? He says, it's a remote, you can do multiple. I felt it is illegal, but there are contracting companies that are selling you multiple jobs on the same hours, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
So,
So
for
is there,
example, I
yeah.
would go for 4 hours on 2 jobs as a consulting. They were trying to say that you can get 2 jobs of 8 hours saying remote in parallel. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So there are people out there who are going to say or present things that are not right or you're not comfortable with. So I think it's just articulating what you're looking for and, being very clear about that. I mean, having a few fractional roles is up to you, and that is okay.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll let other people ask. I have a couple more questions, but I'll let others. Thanks.
Okay, great.
Hi.
So, yes.
I have two questions actually, and I don't know if this is the time is allowing for that, but you've mentioned
Go for it.
LinkedIn account, and I should say that LinkedIn account is proof to me that is an issue, and I don't know how I can correct it over like the last maybe 2 3 years. And instead of professionally post things related to jobs or related to a profession, and that time is like was critical, like to raise awareness, especially that at one point I noticed that LinkedIn were explicit with Ukraine, and they support Ukraine at one point, and they mentioned this in the CEO of LinkedIn main page. So I thought that this is okay to do that, and I start posting, and I'm believing that I'm politically correct to believe to educate my networking about certain situations without mentioning it for the sake of profession here in the meeting. Uh, I was working for a government client as a consultant, and after my vehicle ended with specific recruiter, they requested another recruiter to hire me. And I had an interview with them, and it went very well. I noticed that they visited my account at LinkedIn, and then the next day I received an email saying that they don't have a vehicle to recruit me for the government client. And I tried to get in touch with them just like to have an explanation, because if that was the case, why did you contacted me if you don't have vehicle? But they ignored my email. Even I told them, if you have a vehicle in the future, you can just let me know. And again, it was unfortunately ignored.
So,
So I know this is not like kind of something that I can correct in my account? Because my posting
Well,
is my
you
posting.
you can,
Yeah, go ahead.
Samir. So thank you for mentioning that, and we'll get into it. I know we're going to probably speed through some of these slides, but this discussion is really the most important thing. Your algorithm on LinkedIn is incredibly important because you want to optimize your profile in some of the ways we just mentioned, but you also want your algorithm to be high. So you want to do the activities that are going to give you the LinkedIn points. So when recruiters or AI or hiring leaders are searching for your type of profile, you want to come up higher than others with similar profile. And the way to do that is to work on improving your algorithm. So posts are a fantastic way to do that. But Samir, I think what you have experienced is there are topics that you should not be posting about. Anything political, opinions about anything controversial do not have a place on LinkedIn. So you should be posting about things that align with your professional brands and the type of job that you're looking for. So, you don't, sometimes people will post, I'm looking for a job, fine, you do that once, but then you should post, if you're Kimberly and you're in customer success for CPG, maybe you're posting an opinion about how companies today can best engage with their customers. Make the post relevant to what you're talking about. And yes, and Samir, the more posts that you put out now that are not controversial will kind of bury the older posts. It may not eliminate the issue if you can't, try to delete those posts, but if you can't, at least you'll have more recent posts above it, and then maybe people won't get down to the controversial ones.
Okay, sound good. Thank you so much. I appreciate this
Thank
advice.
you. So let's talk a bit about getting seen and optimizing your contacts and networking skills. So again, getting seen through your resume and your LinkedIn, we talked about a bit. In terms of your contacts, I always recommend that my clients and anyone make a list of your top 25 or 10 to 15, but I would try to push yourself to 25 and beyond, of your strongest and most strategic contacts. So people who know you, like you, and would speak well on your behalf. Put those on your tracker. And then also include people who who like you. Maybe they don't know you as well as the first group, but they're influencers, they're door openers. So as an example, you could put me on that list because I have a large network. We have just met each other and we haven't worked together, but that's an example. Think about people in prominent positions at prominent companies who you know but don't know as well. And I would also include in that list recruiters, executive recruiters, recruiters at any target companies you work at. So identifying those contacts. And then you also want to expand your network. So do a search on LinkedIn. If you're, ex-Microsoft and you're looking for a role in Austin, do a search on LinkedIn for people who worked at Microsoft in tech, in an engineering role and are in Austin. And you will find people, and then you send a connection request. Whenever you send a connection request to someone on LinkedIn, always include a note. So if you're on your mobile, the option is personal invite. And if you're on your laptop, it's add note. So never send a connection request without context of the note. So as an example, when you search and you find Microsoft engineers in the Austin area, you send a connection request, hi Asif, great to be connected to another Microsoft alum, and sign your name. That's it. And the goal is you want that person to accept your connection, and then you follow up with a more specific note. The other ways, as you can see on the slide, are joining calls like this, connecting with people, sharing your LinkedIn, following up with them, joining networking events, whether in person or online. And also, as you connect with your contacts, including the new contacts, always ask for introductions. Who are 3 people that you can introduce me to? So moving on to the next slide. So again, we've touched upon this a bit in terms of the messaging templates and what to say. When you reach out to people, whether you've just gotten them to accept your connection request or it's someone you know or kind of know, don't lead with, I'm looking for a job, I need your help. Because A, that sounds a little on the desperate side, and B, it's all about you. So what I always do is I reach out to people, again, that I know, or once they accept my connection request, and say it would be great to schedule time or be great to chat about how we can help each other. And people really like that because maybe they need help, or maybe they're just curious about what kind of help you think they can offer them, but you're coming from a mutual place and not just asking them for something. I would strongly encourage you all, if you don't already have some sort of scheduler account, I use Calendly, to include that link in your messages, whether it's LinkedIn messages or email. So be great to chat about how we can help each other. You can find a time here that works for you. Looking forward to it, Jody. So, what you say is really important. Building your pipeline. I know this, someone had mentioned this earlier. So there's a whole kind of hidden job market of how to build your pipeline. So you can check your LinkedIn posts for people that are searching. People that have posted about jobs. So that's a great way to find out about jobs. Hopefully those jobs are not yet broadly posted. Sometimes they are, and even if they are, you have a link to the person that posted them. So you can reach out and ask them to put in a good word, give them your resume. Other ways to build your job pipeline is leveraging AI. Asking AI, what roles at the SVP or head of engineering exist in the Austin area? And you can have it run that report every week. And then you can get an idea of other companies that are hiring. So there are lots of ways. And Ahmed just mentioned something that Ahmed mentioned in a recent presentation about looking at your SSI score as well. And then boosting your algorithm, we talked about posting, having enough connections, reposting, commenting. Those are all things that get you the LinkedIn points and will improve your algorithm. So next slide, as we already talked about, I would love for you all to leave here with the action plan of 2 things you're going to do. We already talked about 1 new contact. If you can have more than 1, great. And 1 new idea about something you're going to do differently in your job search.